Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive straight into a really gripping corporate mystery today. It's basically a masterclass in office politics, accountability, and the absolute power of a digital paper trail. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating case study that really forces us to look closely at how organizations remember the truth and, well, how some people try to erase it.
I want to start by setting the scene with this seriously chilling reality. Quote, "The witness list was complete until the intern disappeared from it." You know, the most dangerous corporate threats, they don't usually burst into a room with some dramatic announcement. No, they start as quiet, seemingly boring administrative edits. A document updated before the office is even fully woken up. Just an ordinary record that suddenly feels dangerous. It's those subtle removals that we absolutely need to watch out for.
Part 1. The setup. The missing intern. A quiet change to a trust committee review.
So, in our case study, strategy lead Maya Carter discovers that a super important witness list has been altered. In the final version, it's missing one absolutely crucial name, the intern. To understand why this happens, we kind of need to look at something called hierarchy bias. This is the tendency within corporate systems to devalue, isolate, or completely erase junior voices when they're protecting institutional power. Honestly, it is astonishingly easy for an organization to just erase the most vulnerable person in the room. I mean, they don't have the title, the tenure, or the political capital to fight back, which makes them the perfect scapegoat, or in this case, the perfect vanishing act.
Part 2. The alibi, the corporate excuse. Weaponizing protection. Now, what's really fascinating here is how case management spins this erasure into this perfectly polished excuse. The official narrative uses these soft corporate buzzwords, right? They claim the intern was removed to reduce stress and avoid over-involvement. They're throwing around words like healing, alignment, and business continuity. But let's contrast that with the underlying risk. They are actively erasing the most vulnerable junior witness from the official record. They are literally confusing protection with control. It sounds reassuring, sure, but it behaves exactly like a performance.
Which brings us to this brilliant, totally room-shrinking question posed by an analyst named Aisha Morgan. Who really benefits when a document is classified as harmless? I really want you to challenge yourself to look past the noise of that corporate HR speak and focus on the real motive. When someone tells you an edit is just routine or, for someone's own good, ask yourself Aisha's question. If the document is truly harmless, why does it need to be altered at all?
Part 3. The investigation. Following the paper trail. Making the invisible visible.
So Maya's team completely refuses to accept this polished excuse. But instead of arguing loudly, she creates a methodical proof map to just follow the systems. Step 1, identify the object. Step 2, check the owner. Step 3, verify the timestamp. And Step 4, find the missing approvals. She maps out exactly who changed it, when it changed, and who supposedly approved it. And by laying out the sequence so plainly, she leaves absolutely zero room for anyone to deny what happened. This perfectly illustrates how a team can totally dissect a cover-up using the most ordinary tools. Sofia Lane, she dives into the fine print and metadata. The small routing notes everyone else skips. Nina Ross pulls the background records, calendar exports, draft notes, visitor logs. She proves that invisible background work sees absolutely everything. And Jordan Price looks at the raw system logs. No cinematic hacker magic here, folks, just unedited access fields and device histories. This is exactly how boring, everyday evidence builds an airtight case without relying on a single emotional argument.
But as you might guess, as the evidence mounts, the pushback begins. And in a toxic office, corporate pressure rarely looks like a direct threat. Instead, it arrives softly, cleverly disguised as career advice. Just listen to this quote from Transformation Officer Adrian Valley. "Be careful not to turn every inconsistency into a crisis," right? It's delivered with concern, maturity, and that subtle suggestion that a good leader knows when to just stop asking questions. It's basically a polite way of saying, drop it. But Maya and her team ignore the warning, guided by a core philosophy that really anchors this entire narrative. The record did not raise its voice. It simply waited for someone patient enough to read it. Let's be real. People lie. People soften verbs. People rename choices to protect their own optics. But the system? The system just waits to tell the truth. It just needs someone willing to follow the sequence.
Part 4. The revelation. Uncovering the motive. The formal review becomes theater.
Okay, imagine the formal review meeting. Executives are performing for optics, just hoping this whole issue fades away. But Maya quietly places this massive revelation uncovered by Sofia right on the table. The intern wasn't removed to reduce stress. No, the intern was the only person who saw the original draft before it was cleaned. Boom, that is the smoking gun. They weren't removed for their protection, they were completely erased because their presence on the witness list threatened the carefully crafted narrative of senior executives.
Part 5. The resolution, fixing the system, systemic versus private fixes.
So the executive's first instinct was to offer a private fix, right? Just quietly putting the intern back on the list and pretending nothing happened. But Maya's team totally refused, knowing that a real repair has to outlive the meeting. Instead, HR manager Linda Park implements 3 systemic repairs. First, establish strict junior witness safeguards. Second, require mandatory written consent from the individual before any removal can happen, so no more erasing people for their own good without their actual knowledge. And third, ensure the process leaves permanent digital footprints, because true accountability means writing the lesson directly into the workflow, making it visible and literally impossible to bypass. Let's bring everything full circle with our core theme, repeating this beautiful, striking thought. The record did not raise its voice. It simply waited for someone patient enough to read it. Listen, a safe workplace is not a workplace without conflict. It's a workplace where conflict is forced to leave a record. It's an environment where the truth doesn't need permission from senior leadership to appear.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative question to think about. How does your workplace handle uncomfortable truths? Do they rely on private fixes and soft language? Or do they actually build systems that protect the most vulnerable voices in the room? Think about the digital footprints you are leaving behind. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Be sure to tune in next time, where we're going to dive into an entirely new mystery, the data room that somehow opened at 3:03 a.m. See you then!